can't never be one because everyone's going to have a different opinion.
Yeah, be here forever. And it always happens, so we're putting that, like, we're doing that in the book already.
Yeah.
Okay, so our introduction story to Wicked was, I was around 14, 15, and there's a girl I was friends with in the year above me, and she got to see it, and then she was like, oh, you really need to go see the show. So I got obsessed with the soundtrack, and I made some really, really wrong assumptions about what was going to happen, just on the soundtrack, because that's what I heard first. Like, I thought that she was married with a wizard, and all sorts, and then, you know, obviously, I thought, no, that was just from the soundtrack. Right. Yeah. So then I managed to wrangle my parents to take me for my 16th birthday, and it was so good. And my dad was really amazing, because he was like, the whole time he was like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna come see this, because my mum wants to see it, and it's your birthday, so I'm kind of like, I'm enjoying it. And it came out, and crying, gravity, like, completely speechless. So, I think that's a good testament to what just the show itself is. But it's, and then I read the book, and yeah, well, I love it, and I
You know, what would you say, like, what music for those people? I work with people that have disabilities. We took a group of people to see Wicked before Christmas. And there's an autistic lady in my group who has never, like, taken a choice to do anything herself. And she has since gone on to travel on the bus by herself and has become really independent. And it's like I brought them and it made me cry to see that she was so moved. She's being herself now. It's just the most impactful thing I've ever heard. But personally, I'm more of a bookworm. Put my hand up there. I read the book first before I seen the music ever. And reading it was like someone has my soul and you put it in those pages and I cried and I laughed and I shivered and it was just so emotional. For me growing up, like skin rashes was a really, really big issue, so I grew up with knowing what people look like and look at you when you're different and you look different. It's so obvious, so I really connected to Alpha. And then the first time seeing the music was sick and I was just, it literally changed my life. I've gone to do different things and try different things and just learn that it's okay, that I can be me and that's alright and that's enough. You know, it's just as fun.
I got into Wicked through musical theater because that's kind of my passion, and I think I was like 11 years old and they played us Popular, and I went home and I looked it up because we had to learn the lyrics, and I watched Popular, and I watched One Short Day, which was very, you know, the hell is going on here? And then I clicked on, yeah, but the big bobbleheads came out, and I was just like, okay then. And then I clicked on the that said Defying Gravity, and there were just tears streaming down my face. And that song meant so much to me growing up, and being the kind of person who, you know, will cry ambition over friendship sometimes, and saying that that's okay, and if that's love, then that's too high a cost. And I'm going to prioritize myself sometimes. And yeah, I listen to it every week before my vocal lessons, my vocal classes, because it still brings tears to my eyes, and it still reminds me of why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think the thing with Wicked is the teaching of acceptance isn't just the teaching to accept yourself, it's sort of accepting like those that are different, say through whatever's like your issues, everyone's got issues. It helps you do that, and I think it also helps sort of, you know, the people that are like the ones that kind of hate on people who are different. I think if they go and see the show, it also works on that side. So like, I mean, I know that a lot of my sort of, I'd say like distant kind of friends, acquaintances, people that I know that have seen it, they kind of come back kind of like, maybe that wasn't the correct behaviour. So it's kind of, it does teach acceptance both sides.
Alright, so is anyone out there that wants to share how they met Wicked? Because that's what it's all about, it's meetup. You just get to talk, so hands up. Okay. You want to come up front? You want to
And you know, I actually have a loud mouth. I am a teacher, so I know, you probably hear me in the back. Yeah. Go for it. First of all, I'm doing this because my daughter is not in the she's not going to be like cringing. And secondly, I wanted to make a plug for Girl Scouting because I'm a Girl Scout volunteer. And my plug is that I went to see, my daughter wanted to see Wicked. I've always loved Judy Garland and The Wizard of Oz, and she wanted to see Wicked. So last year for her 12th birthday, we went, and it was through Girl Scouts. They had a program, and Girl Scouts have a lot of programs for young girls. It was a very good price, and besides seeing the play, in the morning, they had the person who does the costuming talk about the costuming and the choices that she made for the different characters. They had a couple of the dancers teach all the girls like a little dance. They had like, you know, a couple other little games and trivia to win things, so it was a great program. What I enjoyed most is because it was just usually the Girl Scouts and their moms. I was in the back, I was in the first section in the back, but there was like nobody's head, like higher than me. Because it was like just, you know, there was no the dads, they were all pretty much short. And I also loved that I loved all getting those questions answered that you want answered. Like, why was there a bucket of water just laying around to get
I have to say I loved to see how the Cowley line became Cowley, and like how they made up what the characters, how they became to be, and it links in so well. So,
yeah. And I also loved the look my daughter had when it was over. Well, obviously, here in Defying Gravity, I think it was Vicky Noon who sang it. Her voice was amazing. But also my daughter's face when she was over, she's like, that's just another intermission, right?
So I've been doing theater my entire life, and obviously if you've done theater, then you've kind of grown up around it, like it's always there. So growing up, I always loved the music. My mom still forces me to sing Popular for her once every week. But obviously I watched online versions, Defying Gravity, I think I've watched every single Alphaba up from like 2013. I just watched them online. But when I went to see it live, and like, you know, as a performer, you watch a show, and when you know what it's like backstage, it's just, it wasn't just the performance and the music, but it was like the technicals and the lighting and the sets, and everything was so phenomenal and perfect. And when Defying Gravity happened, I haven't seen a show that made me speechless. Like, tears actually were running down my face because, like, seeing her fly there for the first time, it's just so, the feels. It's just, and when I heard that there was going to be a Wicked Meetup, I'm like, okay, going. So it's just, it's something that, no matter who says Wicked is cliche, or that, oh, I've heard Popular so many times, it always has a special place in my heart.
Is anyone here that is more of a book person and can give their perspective on that?
I love
That'd be interesting too. Who's a book?
I love the book.
Hands up.
I love the book.
Come on up from the back. You're so far back. Come on up there. Wrong.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. I actually read the book before I saw the musical, so I was actually a little put off by the musical after I saw the book because I think that hit closer to me, especially how it touches on such personal subjects like racism and, you know, culture, and it dealt with all this mature subject matter that I can't watch The Wizard of Oz anymore. Every time I see this like wonderful representation of the wizard, I just want to throw something at him. But yeah, I mean, they're different in a way, but they're also the same, the musical and the book. But
have seen the musical and you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. It's a little hard sometimes, but definitely give it a chance.
I would jump in there and say definitely read the book because like what I felt that too. I feel that what connected with me was this being ostracized and to see how you're treated different just because you look different and you should not ever, ever judge people by what they look like. And to see how someone in a book goes through that when you've been there yourself, that is incredibly heartwarming. Incredibly. Like definitely read the book if you haven't, it's very good. It's my soulmate on pages.
On that quick note on race, I just wanted to bring up the whitewashing of Fiyero in the musicals, because that's something that's always bothered me, and that means that 90% of the fan art representations and sketches of Fiyero are all going to be white as well, and I don't think there's ever been a Fiyero color.
Yeah, there has. Yeah, there has.
And he played Fiyero.
He did it for 6 weeks when nobody was injured. He did it.
Derek Williams.
Yeah, Derek Williams.
Derek Williams.
There has been not many.
But not many, and the most popular ones are all white.
Yeah.
That's a
One last person.
I'm a big Wicked fan. I love musicals.
Sorry, we can't get one. Like I had this for 2 hours.
I'm sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. The wonderful thing about musicals is that I grew up with a lot of musicals like Rodgers and Hammerstein, and especially The Wizard of Oz. Like The Wizard of Oz, I always grew up with. And back when I was really young, I used to be so scared of the Wicked Witch of the West, who was Margaret Hamilton. And my first time when I got into like Wicked is I kept seeing all these posters of that iconic poster of Elphaba and Glinda, and I heard like a lot of the music like from the CD, and that was the first time I heard Idina Menzel's voice as her character, that I just really felt like I needed to see the musical. And when I saw it like 2 times, twice, and I felt that the reason why I felt it was better than The Wizard of Oz is because it's like you're getting to see this whole other side of that story you grew up with, and it was really relatable because the character of Elphaba really related to me because I kind of felt like I was bullied and I felt like I was different too because of my weight. And it's really touching because like out there, I would, if I haven't seen the musical and gone into Harry Potter and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't have had like friends like here in LeakyCon. And, yeah.
Okay, so look, we wish we could hear from everybody because your stories were all amazing, but we only have a bit of time, so we're going to simply go on. So I want us to talk about the themes. This is mainly from the musical. I think it hits in the book a lot as well. But in Wicked, it really draws to light how, as a society, we will just unwittingly just believe anything that any figure of authority will tell us. So, like for example, you get the memorable scene, when she's shouting, it's just to find this kind of catcher, whatever. And also when the wizard in just before. When he says he only lies verbally, besides those lies they needed to hear. So yeah, I think that's a really, really interesting point because that is a real reflection on what our society is. I mean, you look at people that are big fans of Fox News. I've been at it for 2 months, so I've kind of seen it all, and it's like. So yeah, is anyone?
And also how people buy into it, how it's not just, stupid people that can buy into this, like Galinda, and thank goodness, who just goes along with it because it's too much work to protest because, she's getting something out of this deal, and because if she says something, they might take it away.
I also think, though, you make a choice. If you believe stuff that people tell you, you are popular. And you're going to be accepted, but if you make a choice to not accept that, you're not going to be as popular or highly regarded. So somewhere along the line, people like you make a choice which way they want to go, and she makes that first choice in the musical. There's the All-Stars Ballroom stuff, and then there's, again, at the end, where they hand over the book, which is so incredibly impactful to see how people change through someone else.
Yeah, and I think it shows, and thank goodness, how you can't keep lying to yourself forever.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, Belinda is not happy.
Yeah, that you can see that she is
She made the
trapped.
easy choice.
And she's kind of trapped with that. I mean, I think it's safe to say, like, probably everybody in the group, she's terrified of Madame Laurel. I don't know about you guys, but she gave me that guess. So yeah, it's a really interesting, but I think somebody raised their hand when I brought up the subject, if you want to.
There was a line that was more from the book, I forget how they addressed it in the musical. I know that they did, but it wasn't like the same way they did it in the book, but it was with Professor Dillman. When, in the book, I know there's a line that says, like, animals are to be seen and not heard, and it's like a really subtle line that gets, like, thrown in that a lot of people go in an uproar about, but I feel like it's relatable in the sense that that happens today, like, it's subtle, very subtle things that they want people to believe, or, like, just anything that's kind of a negative connotation will kind of be thrown into little things here and there, and nobody will think about it because it's like, oh, it's just a line at the end of the thing, or oh, it's just, like, one thing that somebody said, but the more and more and more it's added, like, the more people, like, pick up about how she never did anything to anybody, but it was just like enough people whispering, enough people saying like this, that all these rumors started flying about her like crazy, and it was just really subtle lines, and I always remember that line from the book, that it's just like that one thing that half the students are just like, oh, whatever, and people are like, how are you not mad at that? And they're like, oh, it's just like one little thing, what does it matter?
But it wasn't addressing them.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
like,
like that you then.
yeah, and then people just ignore it.
And it's just like the internet, how it can be.
Yeah,
Like there was a part early on in the book when they're discussing between the two different kinds of animals, and that Linda stopped and corrected herself to make sure she included both types of animals, and that not a lot of people will do that. They're just like, oh.
I always find, like, I'm German, so reading Wicked as a German person, there is so many links to, like, the whole Hitler regime and the Nazi Germany. Even animals should be seen and not heard is a quote from the book. Like, it sends shivers down my spine. I think something like Becca book, where she goes delirious and she's almost, like, sleep deprived. She has this dream and she wanders through the town, where there's a sign in the building and it says, no Irish will be employed here. And I just think, that's just so reminiscent of some things that happen. It's just, I live in Ireland now, so I'm like, oh my god, yeah, it's so true. Like, because people there will say that that's what they're going to receive by going to different countries. It's just impactful.
Hello. I just wanted to kind of touch on the theme of about how the ostracization of like someone who's different, and I think that that's something that definitely resonated with me because actually I learned about it from my mom, who's very, very religious, and I'm pansexual, and so when I went to see Wicked, I was like, it's okay to be me, and so that was a big, big thing for me. But then also, I think it also relates to, I mean, most of us I'd say are probably Potter fans. And so the whole thing with Harry and Umbridge and the Mudbloods, it's the same concept of like they're other, they're lesser, and it's just because it's these creeping messages that build and build until everyone believes them.
Yeah, I think as well, just to expand on that, it's kind of it's not as like prominent a theme, but when these lies and lies are spreading, not only the public and other people believe them, but you kind of start to believe these things about yourself. And I think it's more of a yeah. So it's like you kind of put in. I know just in the musically, you can sort of see Elephant as like, like in Nobody Deep, it's like, yeah, forget it. If I'm wicked, that's it. I'm wicked. And then she sort of. She goes through it and she sort of realizes, well, no, I'm not. I'm going to go over. I'm going to just go away and do my own thing. So, and it's just like get over this thing and you can learn from it and you can just move on and just go and still be human.
I was going to do this in the end, but it fits, and I take a quote from the end of the book where she's reminiscing, and Elsa will be very reminiscing about her childhood, and there's a quote where she remembers her father used to drag her from place to place and make her sing and do stuff because he was a minister, and she remembers this thing that she doesn't know how
up to see her father as a broken man, and all she knows that is that he passes his brokenness onto her. And his daily habits of loathing and self-loathing cripple her. Daily she loves him back because she knows no other way. And I, again, again, it's such a, like, it can be told most awful things if you love a person, you will still go back to them and look for more acceptance and look for what you're craving. It's crippling to people, it really is. I've seen it so often. Especially when it comes from, like, this example I could quote from a parent. I think, especially through reading the book, it kind of gives you a, you don't have to always agree with what your parents say. And I think around, I'm not sure the age range in the room, but I know, because I know quite a while, so around, like, sort of a couple of years ago, you sort of kind of struggle with discipline because you believe in your parents, and it's just a natural instinct, and so even though they can cause you so much damage, you still go back and you still love them, and you still want the attention. But you sort of have to grow and learn that they're not actually the be-all authority on everything about you, because you've just got to do you, So,
has anyone in here actually never read the book and never seen the musical? Because we're going to get awful spoilers. I was going to say spoiler warning at the start, and
sorry, guys.
Sorry.
And I think these points tie into like bigger points on the subject of identity in Wicked, and I think that's something that the musical really explores, and how we form our identities, and how we choose who we are, and how we define ourselves, and who we want to be. And I think that's pretty good. I know there's somebody in the back.
Yeah. Just something I noticed, and just in Gregory Maguire's work in general, like, he touches a lot on Elphaba's self-loathing in Wicked, but also especially in the Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. There's this one line about how self-loathing or self-making fun of is like, it's like a monster more uglier than something like that. And it was like, he's really good at touching into what other people are feeling when they have issues with their self-confidence, and with their self-esteem and their self-esteem. And for someone who's had those problems all her life, it's really refreshing to see characters who have those issues too.
I was very, very written book as well. I need to look up after it. Yeah, no, if anyone else is from the comments, as always do.
I just wanted to expand on your point about the whole identity and etc. So in, after obviously there's a whole humor popular, which is, hilarious, but then you look deeper into it, and Elphaba does change herself, physically.
He's been I'll be doing makeovers after this class. Not really.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting, really, it's something that kind of gets swept under the rug with, like, people that are massive fans of the musical. Sierra doesn't properly notice Elphaba until she's being listened by. And I think that's a sort of, it just shows that is a good reflection on society as well. So you have, like, I'm sure most of us being quite nerdy because we're at a Harry Potter convention, have gone through, phases of trying to, like, make yourself, like, to look popular, and people have tried it, and
some of us have.
Have gone through phases of trying to fit in, and I think it is an interesting reflection that when you try and fit in, people do notice you, but then you sort of realise that's not the kind of gratification you want, and you're like, no, it's okay, I'm going to go back here.
And at the same time, their big moment before the whole love duet thing is when Elphaba is being very Elphaba, and she steals the lion cub, and she drags Fiona along with her, and that, I think, is when it changes from, noticing her to something else. It's when she's really being Elphaba.
Do you want to get up and talk a little more here? I'll sit here, but to me,
Loud voice.
yeah, well, it seems like the relationship between Elphaba and Fiona, at least in this book, is all long time ago, but what is not as interesting to me is the relationship between her and Glinda. Because it's like, you don't really see relationships that are so, like, complex, like, between two female characters like that, because, like, the romance is really heavy in, like, musicals that we see, but their friendship is just so interesting because when they both would change for good, like, oh my god. Like, because Glinda, after she loses don't spoil.
Spoilers! Cover your ears! Okay, go.
But, like, just the way she has to look after the events of the musical, she's, like, such a hard life for her, and I just feel so much for her, and she was so affected by that, but Elsa was so affected by her, just their relationship was so important.
run up there and hug the girl and tell her it's okay. You know, it's okay, we've got you. And it's especially because of one.
I think so something, but I just also wanted to bring up how much I love the storyline between Buffy and Rose and how
Obsessive love.
Obsessive love, but also there's a lot of self-loathing that goes along with the disabilities that Rose has. The fact that Buffy can get the girl he loves, and I relate as a person with my lack of a love life so much to the song I'm Not That Girl. That is not getting into things, but like, you know, 3 times I'd like that involved started dating one of my best friends, so it's just
You can be my girl.
Finally!
Oh, I'm sorry, Alfie, but you just stole my boyfriend, so my fiance. So I think we're even. Although actually, on that note, I read the most brilliant article about reading Wicked as a queer musical because it follows the structure of a traditional musical, but with Galinda instead of Guy. And how they start off with a song where they hate each other, and then they slowly learn to see each other's point of view, and they finish it off with a love duet. And, I mean, Fiyero has, like, half of one song and then a duet. So, I mean, he's not the central character as much as Galinda and Elphaba is. And, I mean, I love both readings of the musical. I love reading it as a queer musical. I love reading it as a friendship musical, because I think both of those mean a lot more. And I just think it's really good.